everyone. I want to welcome everybody to the third session of our Caregiving 101 workshop. And this one is, we've titled Getting Organized. And I have today Ruth Rhodes and Jackie McManus from Rhodes Law, a Brevard County elder care attorney of some renown, and Mac Cannon from Dignity Memorial, who has, they have several different funeral homes and crematoriums in the Brevard area. Actually, you know, I think you can talk about that. You can both talk about that a little bit. So I'd like to first, and also I think right now we have Jackie who's a community member. I think I'd like to have us all kind of give just a couple second introduction. My name is Beth, and I am from Aging Matters in Brevard Sunflower House. I'm the program director of Sunflower House. Ruth, could you start us off?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Ruth Rhodes. I am an elder law attorney. I have two offices, one in Melbourne off of Sarno Road and one in Vieira off of Spyglass Hill Road at One Senior Place. I've been practicing in elder law now for over 10 years, and I am engaged to a very nice gentleman. We'll be getting married in April, and I have 2 grown kids and 5 grandchildren, and I'm a lifelong Brevard County resident.
Congratulations, Ruth.
Thank you.
Jackie, could you tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, my name is Jackie McManus, and I am one of the paralegals, and I work for Ruth. I'm currently located at the One Senior Place office, and I specialize in the Medicaid planning and estate planning. I've been doing Medicaid planning and estate planning for about 15 years, and pretty much been in Brevard County all my life with 3 grown children, and now I'm a grandma with 2 grandkids. So
I've just noticed that before you come in, I just noticed that Karen Rodriguez is also joining us. I'm pretty sure she's a new member. Let's just give it a couple of seconds to see if she can come in. Hi, Karen. And hi, Karen. I'm not sure if she can hear. Hi, I'm Beth. Ruth and Jackie and Mac are all just Ruth and Jackie just kind of told us a little bit about themselves. And Mac is about ready to, and here comes Kathy. And we'll let Kathy come in. We're all going to kind of be on pause here for a little bit while we let Kathy come in, so we don't have to get too redundant. I appreciate everybody's patience here.
No problem.
Letting you kind of come in. I was mentioning that last week when we did this, we had another Zoom meeting kind of backed up to this, so we really had to be kind of on top of being done at a hard stop at 3 o'clock, but I do not think that's going to be the case today. So if it runs a little longer, it's not going to be a problem from the Zoom end of it, because our agency only has 1 account. Well, you know, we're a nonprofit.
That's all you need is 1 account.
Exactly. You know, yeah, most of the time we're not hardly ever, it doesn't get used a lot anyways, but of course it gets used a lot when it gets used a lot.
Right.
So, hi, do we have, okay, so I don't see, I think Jack, okay, Kathy and
Hi.
Karen. Hi. And so we have Jackie and Karen and Kathy here in from the community. Again, I hate to be redundant, but Ruth, if you could just give me a couple of 2 seconds again.
No problem. No problem. So I'm Ruth Rhodes, and I am the attorney that is at Rhodes Law, PA. And we have 2 locations, one in Melbourne off of Sarno Road, one in Vieira off of Spyglass Hill Road. And I am engaged, going to be married in April. I have 2 full grown children, 5 grandchildren. Yes, I started young. And I've been practicing in elder law for over 10 years now, and I am a lifelong Brevard County resident.
Fabulous. You got married when you had your first children when you were like 12.
Yeah, I was about 12. No.
It will take a year. Jackie.
There we are.
Hi, my name is Jackie McManus, and I am one of the paralegals.
For some reason, There it goes.
I am currently located at the One Senior Place office, and I specialize in Medicaid and estate planning. Been working in the field for about 15 years now, and I have 3 grown children and 2 grandchildren. So.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Mac Cannon from Dignity Memorial. Mac, could you tell us a little bit about Dignity?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mac, and I work at Dignity Memorial, and that my office is out of Wiley-Baxley on Merritt Island. However, I do service all of Brevard, and I am new to Brevard County for the 3 years new. I am a Chicago native. I have 4 children, 2 dogs and 2 cats, and no grandchildren yet.
I see Karen is proudly displaying her bears.
Yay!
I was born.
Very nice.
I was born in Chicago.
Oh, whereabouts?
I was born on the south side, but we lived on the north side, and then
Outside.
6 Corners.
Very nice.
And
Okay.
then we moved to Crystal Lake,
Wow. Okay. I know all these places.
but yeah, now I'm here.
Same thing. I had to move for the weather.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And Karen, if you'd like to talk just 2 seconds about your situation.
It's COVID. That's my situation.
COVID. You're a caregiver.
I'm a caregiver for myself, and I have a companion. We don't live together, but we're contemplating down the road we'll need to be for each other. So I have a health issue, and so I've had to be a lot of a caregiver for myself and to prepare my daughter. So I sort of transfer information to my daughter because she lives out of state.
Yeah, my mom's doing that. Kathy?
hi. We have Wayne's mom living with us. She moved in November, and we're just trying to learn as much as we can and get the help that we need.
Yeah. And Jackie Greathouse?
Yeah, so my mom just moved in with us, and she's 80 years old with dementia. And so I'm just trying to figure out what to do and how to proceed and taking it day by day.
Yeah. So
My new normal.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna move the hosting over to Ruth so that she can share her screen and we can start on the on her presentation. And then we'll be able, if we can, I'd like to leave the questions towards the end, but if you have something that's really pressing, feel free. And then after Ruth is done, then we'll move on to Mac's presentation about pre-planning for our final wishes. Okay, Ruth?
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. New to this Zoom. I have other platforms that I use, but Zoom is a little different. But every month I do a presentation at the One Senior Place location every Wednesday. So I'll be doing a presentation actually tomorrow, and we do it live and we also do it online on different topics. So whatever I'm providing today for information, it is for information and education purposes only, and it does not create a legal relationship or an attorney-client relationship, and it's not intended to be legal advice. So, because everyone has a separate situation, so if you need legal advice, that needs to be kind of like a one-on-one thing. And we're really happy to talk to you one-on-one if you need that kind of assistance, and we'll do it for free. But today's just for education. So we're going to be going over some important legal tips for caregivers, because when a caregiver fails to plan, then they plan to fail, basically. So we want to make sure as a caregiver, you are thinking also not only the person that you're taking care of, but I know, Karen, you're taking care of yourself, but you also need to think about yourself as well. So during this presentation, we're going to discuss important legal tips for caregivers. We're going to talk about getting a legal checkup, knowing your plan, getting educated, and then discuss some of the estate planning pitfalls. And I'm going to kind of go through it pretty quick because Beth gave me a short time period to give you a lot of information in. But at the end, we're going to have some Q&A time. So if you have some questions, just write them down. And when we get to the end for Q&A, we'll discuss your questions. So the first thing we're going to talk about is getting your own legal checkup. First thing you need to do is find an elder law attorney. It's important to make sure that you have an experienced elder law attorney to set up, review, or update your existing documents. Ideally, you'll want an elder law attorney who is well connected also in the community, so they can guide you to financial advisors, elder care managers, social workers, senior living, nursing home directors, and other, you can use your elder law attorney as a resource for other providers and information that's available. So like at our office, we don't just do legal work, we'll also help our clients find resources. So what is a legal checkup? It's not only for your loved one, but it's also for you as a caregiver. And you have to remember the cardinal rule. You must always put the oxygen on yourself first. If something was to happen to you as the caregiver, then what would happen to the person that you care for? So we want to make sure that your legal needs are taken care of. And the next is knowing your plan. It's not just enough to put a plan together. You need to understand your plan. Have a plan, get organized, and it's time to take care of your own estate planning and check it off the list of things to do. This is a brand new year, and a lot of us have put these things off. Even myself as an estate planner and elder law attorney, it took me a long time before I finally did my own plan, but we all need to take care of that because things are inevitable. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made when you are thinking about how to put your plan together. You need to think about, who do I put in charge? Who do you trust? Who's ethical, honest, going to do a good job taking care of your money, your assets, and your person, taking care of your own care. And who are going to be the successors to that? And how will I divide my estate up? What if someone important to my estate plan dies before me? You need to know contingencies of what will happen if certain things, unexpected or even expected do occur. What if you have a life-changing event? How do I protect my assets in case I become ill? These are all questions that you would want to talk about, think about, and then talk about with an elder law attorney to help you put together a plan that's going to work best for you. And you should talk to your loved ones, whoever's going to be put in charge. Maybe you might need a power of attorney done. Who's going to be that person that's going to be your power of attorney? Whoever it is that you choose to be in charge of these different things, you need to definitely have a conversation with to make sure, number one, they're willing to serve. And number two, they know what your expectations are. So it's real important to have those conversations. And you also need to let the person know that's going to be in charge that you've prepared estate documents and where they can find them in the event that something happens to you. So that's really important as well. So, and then the next step is to get educated, which you're doing today. And we're going to talk about what you need to know. So first, what is estate planning? And so regardless of your personal wealth, some people think I don't need to do estate planning because I don't own anything. I don't have anything. I'm not wealthy, but that's not accurate. So regardless of your personal wealth, you do need to have a plan for what will happen to your assets, your family, and your personal care in the event that you lose your own capacity or you die. Estate planning is the preparation for the transfer of your assets upon death, but it's also includes planning for incapacity. So what will happen to you, your family, your assets, if you were to become legally incapacitated? So if you don't have legal documents in place and you lose your capacity, guardianship may be something that's necessary, and we would like to avoid that if possible. So who needs estate planning? The short answer to that really is everyone. So no matter your age, anyone over the age of 18 should have some legal documents put in place. So no matter how much money you have, no matter if you're married or single, and no matter if you have children or not, you probably need to have some, at least basic estate documents done. If you don't have a power of attorney or healthcare surrogate at a minimum, and you lose capacity, then like I said, guardianship could become a reality in your life. Guardianship is very expensive, it's very intrusive, and it should be avoided if possible. So why is estate planning important? No one can predict the future, but we can help prepare for the possibilities, and that's what we do as elder law attorneys. We try to think of possibilities that could happen and contingencies for in the event that things do happen. And there's dozens of reasons why estate planning is important, and here's just a few that are listed. Protecting your and children's inheritance is very important, especially in a blended family. Protecting disabled loved ones, because many of them are on programs that limit how much assets they can have. If you were to leave a large gift to a person on Medicaid, for example, it could disqualify them from Medicaid, and Medicaid is very important and a very valuable benefit to have. You use estate planning to protect minor children, of course. You can use the plan to avoid probate. You can use it to avoid guardianship. You can use it to appoint trusted persons to be in charge of you. That way you have control over who takes charge of you in the event that you lose capacity. And it also allows you to have control over what happens to your assets after you pass. You can use the documents to direct your family and physicians on how you would like your healthcare decisions made in the event you can't make them for yourself. And having it all done in writing, it helps, I believe, keep family peace a little better, because the kids can look back and go, okay, this is what mom wanted, so let's follow what mom wanted. And in the event that there becomes some dispute, the court, if it becomes a litigated situation, would look back at your documents and try to honor what you put in place. If you don't put something in place, if you decide not to do estate planning or planning for incapacity, the state of Florida has a plan for you, and it may not be what you would want for yourself. So if you'd like to have control over that, that's where estate planning helps as well. What types of estate planning documents are we talking about here? So there's lots of different types of documents that we deal with, and here's just a few of the more common ones. So oftentimes we will discuss trusts and the benefits of trusts. Last will and testament, that's a basic document that allows you to distribute your assets or protect your family and determine how things are going to be taken care of. Durable power of attorney, designation of healthcare surrogate, living will, declaration of pre-need guardian. And we're going to just briefly touch on what each of those documents are, just so you have an idea in the event that you're not already familiar. So a trust is a legal instrument that is created to hold, protect, and manage assets for the benefit of a person or persons. And there's many kinds of trusts, but we're only going to discuss the top 4, the more common ones. So the type of trust you need depends on what the purpose of the trust is for. And the more commonly used trusts are the revocable trust, the irrevocable trust, the special needs trust, and the qualified income trust. And each of them have very specific purpose. Let me go back real quick, just to where the trusts are. A revocable trust is the normal type of trust that a lot of people will commonly have. It can be changed, it can be amended. It's very flexible. Irrevocable trusts are not flexible, and they usually cannot be amended or changed without a court order. And a lot of times irrevocable trusts are used for asset protection or Medicaid planning oftentimes. A special needs trust, that's a trust that's made to protect the assets, or protect the benefits of a disabled person. So if you have a loved one that's on Medicaid, getting Medicaid benefits, but yet you still want to leave them a gift, you would leave it to them through a special needs trust. That way they would have the benefit of the gift without losing their Medicaid benefit or whatever benefit it is that we need to protect. And then a qualified income trust, that is a very specific trust that is used during the Medicaid planning process. That's for if someone is over income to get Medicaid, we can still get them Medicaid, but we just have to use a qualified income trust to do that. And the next document is a will. And a will is a legal document which allows you to record your wishes as to how your possessions and affairs will be handled after you pass away. There's two different kinds of wills. There's a standalone will that stands alone, it doesn't need any other documents. And then there's the pour over will. And the pour over will is a will that works with a trust. So instead of in your pour over will, instead of your assets going to people or charities, your assets will all go to the trust, and then the trust would distribute everything. And the trust being able to distribute would be able to do that without having to go through probate. So a trust, like a revocable trust, when someone passes away, if they have a pour over will, whatever was not in the trust would be poured into the trust through the will. And then the trustee that they named will take care of distributing assets. And there's so it can be used to avoid probate, and trust can also be used for avoiding guardianship. In the will, you can put your burial wishes, if you want to be buried or cremated, whatever your wishes are, you can really spell that out in the will. You can take care of your estate distribution. Personal property can be taken care of through the will. You can determine if you have any minor children, you can name the guardian of your minor children in the will itself. You get to name who's in charge, which is in Florida called a personal representative. Some states call them the executor, but in Florida we call it a personal representative. That's the person in charge of the estate. And the last question on the page here is, why do I need a will if I have designated beneficiaries on my financial accounts? So a lot of times people will just make sure, and it's a good idea to make sure that your financial accounts do have designated beneficiaries. But in the event that you have other assets that you're passing besides these bank accounts, it may be important to have a will. Having a will with a personal representative named, if you have a car, they can take the will and the death certificate down to the motor vehicles department and transfer ownership of the car without probate. A will is also important for rights that are outside of a trust. Say like you have a trust, you still need to have a will because not your whole life isn't going to be inside that trust. For example, if you got into an accident that caused your death, your personal representative would be the only person who would have the right to sue on your behalf because sue the person that caused your death. So that is one of the reasons why you would need a will, even if you have designated beneficiaries on your financial accounts, and even if you have a trust, you still need to have a will. A durable power of attorney. This is one of the most important documents a person can have. This document can help you avoid guardianship, but it's a double-edged sword because it is a very powerful document. It can be used for good, it can be used for evil. So you need to make sure whoever you name is someone who you absolutely can trust with all of your worldly goods, because you are literally putting them in charge of your worldly goods. So always make sure it's someone ethical, honest, and good with their own money, because you don't want someone who spends their money like a drunk sailor in charge of your money. So a durable power of attorney is a document that allows you to appoint someone, a person or an organization to manage your personal and financial affairs if you need assistance or become incapacitated. It is a powerful tool for avoiding guardianship. It empowers your agent to act on your behalf as to your assets and liabilities, and immediately allows your agents to act on your behalf. So it used to be that when you signed a power of attorney, it wouldn't become an active document until you lost capacity, but that's not allowed anymore. Now in Florida, when you sign a power of attorney, it's immediately effective. The next document is a designation of healthcare surrogate. This works hand in hand with the durable power of attorney for avoiding guardianship. And this document allows you to name somebody to make healthcare decisions for you. You can include special instructions. I've had folks that have very rigid and specific requirements, like for religious beliefs or even for their own beliefs. And we just spell it all out what they want. I've had people say, I don't want organ donations, or I don't want anyone to take any of my organs. You just put it all in there. And the document, you always want to include a HIPAA authorization, because you want whoever's going to be making healthcare decisions for you to be able to have access to your medical records and to be able to talk to your medical providers. That's really important. The next document is a living will, and a living will is a document that allows you to direct your healthcare providers on your healthcare wishes if you become incapacitated and are unable to communicate and you're in the actual dying process. And it takes 2 doctors to make that determination. Your primary care physician and then a consulting doctor would have to agree that there's no reasonable medical probability of your recovery from whatever condition is causing you to pass away. So basically, this is the end of life decision document. And most people, their living will says, keep me comfortable, give me medications, do any procedures that are needed to keep me comfortable, but don't keep me alive artificially. Don't hook me up to any machineries and allow me to die peacefully. And that's what a living will is. Declaration, name, and pre-need guardian. When we are drafting documents for a client, we want to try and make sure they have everything they need. We try to think of every possible contingency. We don't want them to ever have to go through guardianship. But in the event that guardianship is inevitable, because we don't have crystal balls, we don't know what the future holds for us. At least what this document does do is it is a document that tells the judge in the guardianship case that if you absolutely must have a guardian, then these are the people to be in charge of you. But not only can you name the person to be in charge of you, you can use this document too to say, these people are disqualified, because almost every family has that 1 or 2 people that, Lord have mercy, you'd never want them in charge of you. And you can use this document to do that. And it's a protection strategy as well, because when you get this signed, at my office anyway, not all attorneys do this, but when you sign one of these at my office, I file a copy of it with the court. And that way, if a guardianship is filed down the road, it will alert the court that you've made decisions on who's to be in charge, and excuse me, and they will contact the named guardians and get them involved in the case so that they will know what's going on. And that's very helpful, because sometimes guardianships are done secretively. And then there's also estate planning pitfalls that I'm going to just go over really briefly. It's really important that you have an attorney. I'm just going to say it. An attorney needs to draft your documents for you, because many of the pitfalls, I'm running low on time, so I want to kind of sum this all up, that we see when we have people come to our office and they have these documents, and then we realize they are no good, and we see that a paralegal office prepared it for them, or they downloaded it from the internet, or they purchased forms from a store. And I cannot tell you, and I know Jackie, my assistant that is online with me, or was online with me, we have found mistakes after mistakes where those types of documents are so inadequate that it should be criminal to be allowed to do, because we found documents that does not save them from guardianship, and guardianship is $5,000 to $10,000 without a fight. That's with no family fighting. That's why it's important to avoid it. So even if you have estate planning documents that were prepared by an attorney, you should still have them reviewed every 3 to 5 years, because the law changes, your life changes. But if you get married or divorced or adopt a child, or you move to a different state, or a person that you name to be in charge of you or to make decisions for you passes away or becomes incapacitated, or you have major changes in your assets, or you hear of changes in the law, Those are all trigger events that should cause you, no matter if an attorney did draft the documents, they should still be looked at. And then if you've had documents prepared by a paralegal outfit, or you've done your do-it-yourself estate planning from downloaded documents off the internet, or you have purchased a set of documents from a store, please go to an estate planning attorney. Most of us will do free consultations and have someone look at your documents, because now is the time to make sure that those documents are going to do what you think they're going to do, because I'm finding that most of the time when we see these documents is when it's too late to make changes. So it's, as long as you have capacity, you can change your estate planning documents. But if something happens to you, and things happen every day to us, and you lose capacity, you no longer have that right, and you're stuck with the documents you have at that point, whether they're good or bad. And if they're bad, you might end up finding yourself in a guardianship situation. So we'd like to always avoid that. All right, I'm done. And I did it in 20 minutes, Beth. So let me switch you over to be the person in charge. Let's see if I can figure out how to do it. Hold on, Beth.
Yep, that's okay, Ruth.
How do I do
think,
it again?
well, first you can stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
Go down to the bottom and stuff. There you go. And now, if you would hover over Mac's name, Mariel Cannon, and you'll see a little thing that says more.
All right, Max, you have to unmute yourself, and now you're the host.
All right, thank you.
There you go.
There you go. But before then, I wanted to see whether or not Karen or Kathy or Jackie Greathouse do you guys have any questions for Ruth? Do you have any specific? Go ahead, Karen. I think you're muted, so come off the mute. Thank you.
With especially like the dual power of attorney, can you name more than one person? Can you have two people?
Oh, absolutely. So you can name two people to work together.
Yes.
Making all decisions together, or you can name two people who can act independently, or you can name one and then name another as a successor in the event that the first one can't do it. So there's a lot of flexibility, and you can do that with all the documents that I talked about. You can name two people to work together independently or succession.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathy or Jackie, did either of you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So being that my mom has dementia right now, is it too late for her to, choose her power of attorney? Or, I mean, I'm on her checking account, so I have access to her, her money, and I take care of her with it. But being that she has, dementia, is it too late for her to do any of that? Is it only guardianship that's available to her? And also, if she does guardianship, I have a sister in Orlando who probably would try to countersue. So, I mean, I'm just trying to avoid all this,
So, yeah. And that's a great question, and something that we deal with a lot. So, if your mom has good days and bad days, and so sometimes, dementia is an in and out kind of thing. If she's still having good days where she has some understanding of what's happening, who she is, who her children are, and can have some basic understanding, then yes, we could possibly do.
Does she need to have a test from like Dr. Visa? Somebody had said that was a Dr. Visa.
Yeah, that would probably, especially knowing that you have a sister that can be a problem, it's probably best to have a doctor like Dr. Visa, who is perfect. She's magnificent and well-known. If she could say that she has sufficient capacity to update her legal documents, then that's great. You could go ahead and do it. And as long as she's having a good day on the day she's signing and discussing the documents, then we can allow her to sign it. If not, if she does not have enough capacity to do that, then you may need to go ahead and file for guardianship, and it sounds like it could become a contested guardianship. So
I'm sure it would, yeah.
yeah. So we would definitely want to plan for that and move forward accordingly, knowing that it may be contested.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that just because of the amount of money. And then it also would be like, I think my mom would even have, would be very upset if I tried. You know what I mean? She wants to be very independent. And I think she forgets that her memory's going.
Yeah. So she might
So-
be, she might still have sufficient capacity then. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, the safest way would be to have Dr. Visa give it the okay.
Okay. Is that just, I can just Google his name?
Dr.
Yeah.
Visa is, oh Lord, her name is like 12 letters long. It
Okay.
starts with VISA. I'll Google it real quick while we move forward. And
Oh, I thank you for that.
Yeah, no
Yeah, because
problem.
I'd love to get everything in place, but I'm just wondering if this is going to all be contested and it's just better to let things be, you know, but.
Okay, so I'm not going to tell you her full name because I couldn't pronounce it. But Dr. Visa is with Health First, and her telephone number is 321-434-7611.
Okay.
And she is, I believe, nationally known for what she does.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Kathy, how you doing?
Hi. I do have a question about the durable power of attorney. Does that cover everything, like health or medical and financial?
No, there's been some confusion. In the past, they've allowed durable powers of attorney to be healthcare durable power of attorney. Florida recognizes the durable power of attorney and the health designation of healthcare surrogate. And they're generally going to be two different documents specific. So the durable power of attorney, one of the funny things about those documents in Florida is if it doesn't specifically provide a power, then the power does not exist. So if you see, or if you have a durable power of attorney that's 1, 2, 3 pages long, I can tell you right now that it's insufficient and you need to get it updated. For example, in our office, our durable power of attorney is at least 10 pages long, and it's single spaced, and it's got a lot of information because we don't know what is going to happen to us, so we have to put all kinds of contingencies in it, you know, so that we try to cover as many bases as possible.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think maybe what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to Mac. And then if anybody has any questions before we're done, and I know it's already looks like it's late, but we have extra time. And as long as Mac and Ruth and Jackie are okay with sticking around for a little bit longer, we'll be able to ask questions at the end if anybody can think of other questions for Ruth or for Jackie.
Thank you.
Mac?
All right, I'm pulling up my screen. It'll work for me.
It should. There it is. It's coming.
Here we are. Okay, we're doing it. All right. So thank you very much for having me here. My name is Mac and I'm with Dignity Memorial. And we are the nation's leading network of funeral, cemetery, and cremation providers. All of our establishments are operated by people who live and work and raise families in your community. I myself work at Wiley-Baxley, which is on Merritt Island. And we have providers in Cocoa, which is Brevard Memorial, and in Rockledge, which is Florida Memorial Gardens, and also in Palm Bay, which is Fountainhead Memorial. So that's 4 right here in Brevard. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I have dedicated my entire 17-year career to the service of others. But it wasn't until the passing of my grandmother that I was unexpectedly put in a decision-making position in a time of kind of grief and chaos. You know, it was my father's mother, and he is one of 7. So you can imagine all of the hands on deck trying to scramble and make decisions and fund the options and do all of the things. It was a lot. I finally got to realize all that it takes to lay a family member to rest, and it's overwhelming when you are experiencing a loss. So I thought to myself that there had to be a better way to do this. And that's kind of where I fell into pre-planning. So I knew that if I could spare families the kind of devastation and the trouble that I went through by a little bit of sharing and a little bit of education, well, then that's what I was going to do. So for me, working with Dignity it's a choice, and it's a choice to continue my community service, and it's a channel for my empathetic nature to have a constructive outreach. So sharing pre-planning information is how I do that. That's how I help families to protect their family. So today I want to talk about something that we all think about from time to time, but very rarely like to talk about: planning ahead for our funeral and cemetery arrangements. Now, choosing how you want to be remembered is a very personal decision. And there are about as many options as there are apps on your smartphone or buttons on your flip phone. So I strongly think that nobody should come through my doors here at Wiley unprepared and uninformed on the day that they have lost a loved one. But unfortunately, many families face death in exactly that way. During a difficult time, making decisions, arguing over details and choices, scrambling to gather money for the expenses. So start by asking yourself, when friends and family gather to reflect about you or your loved one, what will they say about your life? How will you or your loved one be remembered? What will be your legacy? All right, so let's start with a question. If you were faced with the death of a spouse or a family member, what would you do? Who would you call for help? Do you know how your loved one wants to be remembered? How would that loss impact you emotionally, financially? Would you even know where to start? Okay, deep breath, deep breath. Just what you felt there is a fraction of what you would feel if you were actually going through it in the real situation. Another deep breath. Whew. There's a much easier way, and that is with pre-planning. I tell you, it's way easier to do it this way. When you pass away, your family will be overwhelmed with grief and emotion, and most likely they'll find themselves at a funeral home or a cemetery going over paperwork and mulling over decisions that they may or may not know the answers to, stressing over the details of your memorial and wondering how they're going to pay for it all. So having some of those answers kind of figured out ahead of time could alleviate so much stress for your family. Did you know that there's over 148 questions that need to be answered within the first 48 hours of a loved one passing away? Think of all of the stress that you could lift off of your loved one's shoulder. I mean, for most of us, we put a lot of planning to important life things like weddings, college education for our kids, or for our retirement. I mean, beyond that, even for year after year, we'll spend thousands of dollars on home insurance, health insurance, auto insurance, all those sorts of things, but we'll never discuss our funeral or cemetery planning. Why is that? I'll tell you, it's because it's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to talk about it. I mean, death, who, me? Not gonna happen to me, but it's inevitable. We all got to plan. We spend all this time planning for the what ifs and the maybes. It only makes sense to plan for the what will. So we can do that in 4 easy steps, and that's to reflect, record, secure, and share. So a lot of the families that I speak to, they do that, just that. And they'll give me a couple of great reasons why they would do it. Planning together avoids the painful guesswork when a death suddenly occurs and you're clouded with grief and confusion, like what happened with my family. That's how I got put in that place when there were 7 children who were all over the United States and had to come together. It was definitely chaos. And then purchasing your funeral at today's prices kind of locks in those prices and protects you against inflation from the prices down the road. It also prevents you from emotional overspending. Because when you're experiencing a loss, you're not in your right frame of mind. You're thinking that mom deserves the best and she would want the most expensive this or that. But when you're in your proper state of mind, you can make rational just choices. And if you're planning for yourself, You can choose what you would like, what practical options, and you are spared from making those kind of irrational choices. I call them the French fry choices. Like when I go to a drive-through and I get the large fry when I don't need no fries, that's kind of the choices that you would be making. People mostly prearrange to give themselves and the people that they love peace of mind. So let's start with reflecting. And that is to spend a little bit of time reflecting on what's important to you or the person that you're planning for. How would they want to be remembered? When your family and friends get together and they share memories of them, what are some of the things that they say? What are the highlights regaled year after year at the Thanksgiving dinner table? What are the family traditions or customs that you have that might influence the type of service that you'll want to have? Will there be hymns sung or bagpipes played? Will you have a whole rock band or more of a traditional classical organ? There will be lots of times that you can have to get together and celebrate a celebration of life kind of gathering or a traditional remembrance kind of gathering. The goal is to capture meaningful memories to tell your story to future generations. Then, if you choose burial, will you be buried in the ground or entombed in a mausoleum crypt? So a mausoleum, that's one of those above ground things, like if you drive in on US 1 next to Florida Memorial Gardens and you see those beautiful walls with the flowers and everything, that's called a mausoleum. So that's an option for burial that a lot of people don't know about, but it's something to consider. And you might want to be next to your spouse, or you could be next to your whole family in a private family estate. These are some options also for burial. Maybe you're more of a cremation type of gal. You might want to know what your options are for that. You could be in a cremation garden, there are scattering areas, or you can be buried as well, or inurned in that wall, but they call it in a niche. They have all sorts of fun words, and there's fun choices too. This is where it sounds crazy to think it's fun, but you could be turned into a tree. You could be shot to the moon. You could be put down under the sea and turned into part of a coral reef that's going to revive the natural fish species that live there. So if you're an eco-friendly kind of person and you want to feed the fishies, that's something you could do. Something that's an option. So the memorial will take place in a matter of days, but the place of final rest is a permanent remembrance for the life you lived. It provides a place for family and friends to return where they can remember and reflect. So once you've made some decisions about your service, the step is to record your information. To help the families that we serve, we have created what we call a personal planning guide. And I'm going to hold one up here, but you can't see it because of my silly virtual background. But it's a book that has pages in it that help you fill out some of your information. It has 95% of what you need to complete your service. It has the page for vital statistics, which is what you'll need for the death certificate, down to service selections and service details. So you would write down if you wanted a specific Bible verse spoken or a hymn sung. You would write if you wanted to have those bagpipers, or if you wanted to have different things and selections. I had a family who came to me and I got to see this one all the way through to the end. I spoke with the family, she filled out her pre-planning guide, and the woman loved frogs. So she wanted a whole frog themed funeral. And believe it or not, it turned out beautiful. The theme was lilacs and lily pads. So she had a lilac casket with a casket spray that was gorgeous. Lilies and lily pads in the casket spray with special little frogs from her collection that were signature details that she had loved. And we put those in the casket spray, and we did the whole funeral home up with pieces of her collection. But the most special part was when her family came to the service, that they were so touched and so moved to see Grandma so thoroughly represented in every aspect and every detail that we put together, and how much care was taken. This is exactly what Grandma wanted. So planning your final arrangements in advance is a gift to those that you love. It really helps to bring closure to that moment and helps them to begin to heal. The next question I have for you is, are there any veterans among us today? Raise your hands if there's any veterans. Oh, well, thank you. I want to thank you for your service, most importantly.
My
And
pleasure.
so I will show you, well, you also can't see this one, but we also have a veterans planning guide. And like our personal planning guide, it has everything that you will need to plan your veterans memorial service and to attain your VA benefits. So a lot of people think that when you're a veteran, you get everything taken care of, but that's just not the case. And this book helps to explain what exactly is taken care of and what isn't. And it also has all of the forms that you need to apply for your various VA benefits. So we can go over those together and fill out all your forms, because there are ones that you can fill out and submit now. And there are forms that you can pre-fill and just have ready so that you can put it in your go bag, so that when the time is that you've passed away, your executor, or Ruth, what did you call them? That word, it was a personal representative.
Yes.
Personal representative can then take those forms and submit them pre-filled with all the information from your DD-214 and get you all of the benefits you're entitled to. So Kathy asked me for one of those books, and I will get you one of those.
Okay.
Perfect. So the next step is to secure. And by secure, that means that we'll work with you to provide options for covering the financial aspects of your arrangements. Like all costs, funeral and cemetery costs continue to increase over time, and coming up with cash quickly when a loved one dies can place a burden on families and add to the stress of loss. So by securing your plan, you're going to lock in today's prices and potentially save your family thousands of dollars. And pre-planning doesn't mean that you're going to spend a lot of money or any money at all. We have financing options, and some people choose to fund their entire arrangements through savings. And we have a specialized funeral insurance that allows you to select monthly payments and recover the full amount in the event that you pass away while you're still paying, which is a really cool feature. So that means that your family will not be liable for the rest of it in the event that you pass away while you're still making payments on your plan. There are tons of options to consider with the help of a licensed and trained advisor. The most important step is to share. And now Ruth touched on this in her section, which is very important about your documents in general. It's to share that you have made arrangements. So even though it may be uncomfortable to speak with your loved ones that you have made funeral or cemetery arrangements, but you want to make these copies accessible, keep them in a readily available place, make sure whoever is in charge, whoever is that, I wrote it down, personal representative, because I always call it executor because that's an Illinois thing, that they know where to find the documents. Consider making that Go file and keep all of your important documents right in there so it's ready to go in the event that they're needed. I have never had a family get upset that their loved one was pre-planned. It's never been, I can't believe Nana made all those difficult decisions and paid for everything ahead of time. No, families are always filled with gratitude and relief. They are unburdened of those 148 questions and those financial responsibilities. They can begin the appropriate grieving and focus on commemorating their loved one and on healing. So that's an important part of sharing. So even if you're worried that they may take it a little weird because it's an uncomfortable subject, know that they will appreciate it in the end, that it's going to be worthwhile. So there are lots of good reasons to plan. It's going to alleviate the stress of loss, like what happened with my grandmother. We don't want that to happen to you. So definitely consider that as a good reason to plan. It's going to ease the financial burden, because when you pre-plan, you can make payments, whereas at the time of need, which is what we call when someone passes away, all payments are due in full at the time of the service. So even if you're planning to use your insurance or something that may be tied up in probate, may take a while to get, it's not going to be easy to access right away when you need it. So it's going to provide you with peace of mind. Your wishes will be carried out and that your family will be taken care of. It's going to let your friends and family celebrate the life that you lived, like the frog lady, and how her family was so happy to see their grandmother perfectly represented at the service. So we hope that choosing to prearrange is the right thing to do, and we hope that you will consider choosing a Dignity Memorial provider. And some of the benefits that we offer are compassionate care every step of the way, personalized professional planning by licensed specialists. We're located here in your community with 4 locations here in Brevard. We have our 100% satisfaction guarantee. If there is anything we can do before, during, or after the service, let us know, consider it done. We have our national transferability. If you happen to move or relocate, we have over 3,500 locations to choose from. We have bereavement travel assistance, which just means like my family is scattered across the United States. And with one call to our travel coordinator, she's going to make the air flight, the travel, the hotel, all those arrangements so that they can come to the service in the event that I pass away. It's just going to be taken care of. We also have our grief support through our online library and 24-hour compassion helpline. That means these are master's degree or higher professionals who are there 24/7 to help your friends and family in the time that they need it the most. We offer a variety of other meaningful programs to help your family after a loss as well. Benefits such as these, combined with our caring professionals and expertise in funeral, burials, cremation, and veterans burials, make our funeral homes and cemeteries a wise choice. We're committed to helping those struggling with loss, and I take my role in the community, sharing this critical information, very seriously. I don't mind having the tough conversation with folks now if it will spare them from a much more difficult conversation later. For me, there is no greater responsibility than helping families to honor and celebrate their loved one's life. I am proud to support the community where I live, work, and raise my family. Our community outreach programs help thousands of families, veterans, and public servants each year. So I'm here to help you secure the peace of mind that comes from knowing you did the right thing for you and your family. Please also allow me to be an advocate for this in the community. So if you know someone who would benefit from knowing this information, let them have my number too, because that's going to be on that handout that you got when you signed up. To help you take the first step, I provided you with that digital copy of our article, 10 things everyone should know about pre-planning a funeral or memorial. So take a look at that in your leisure, and I hope it lays the foundation for some great questions. I'd love to meet with each of you and answer those burning questions you're dying to know the answers to, and provide you with one of those pre-planning guides or veterans guides and help you record some of your wishes and selections. So my contact information, my phone number is on that article. It's my cell phone number, so please do reach out and call me anytime. Thank you again for your time today. My name is Mac with Dignity Memorial, and I look forward to making sure that your life is well celebrated.
Thank you so much, Mac. So Karen, Kathy, Jackie, do any of you have any questions for Mac?
Yeah,
we get
can
those
you give
guides?
prices?
Yeah, I can definitely go over some of that information with you. Now, I would have to ask you a whole bunch of questions before I could give you a number, because it depends on what you want. So if you want to meet with me or give me a phone call, a jingle afterwards, I can definitely give you those numbers. I just don't want to take over everyone's time asking you all the personal questions that I would need to give you a number, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess Rose maybe can send the information, your contact information.
Yeah, I had sent it. I sent it. It should be attached, and I did send it, but I can resend it again. They
Oh,
were-
okay. Thank you.
attachments on your emails.
Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, your phone number? Yep.
Yep.
Mac, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes this works for a lot of our clients to where they come with a agreement and it's not irrevocable. Can you kind of talk about the irrevocable or not irrevocable for your people when you sign them up, and what age you think that they should make them irrevocable? So that way, maybe if we don't have to go back so often with the clients to do that, it would be helpful for them to know as caregivers. Do you have that a lot?
Well, we don't actually have that too much. I think most of the time that they, when they do make that irrevocable, that's when they're working with the Medicaid, right? So then that's when you would want to make it irrevocable so that it doesn't count when they're considering your benefits.
Right.
So that, and it's such a personal, you'd have to, each case is really different. It's hard to put an age on it to say that there is a specific, because it's been more of a case by case, I would say. Because everyone's financial situation is different.
Right. So if they don't want to try to sell it, or they, you know, they're okay with it. So I was just curious if on your end you did that. We do have some people who come and it's checked. They knew from the very beginning that was their thing. They were locking it in and they were not checked. So, okay.
I say, I mean, if you want to, go for it. But if you want to have that protection in place and you're worried about that you might want to back out later, leave that option for yourself. But honestly, I think that you're better off protecting yourself and then making it the irrevocable so then it's not counting against you. That's my personal non-legal, I should have used your legal disclaimer slide. That's my non-legal personal opinion on the matter, just from what I've seen in the going through, that you're better off just locking it in so then you're not getting dinged on it when they're going through it for your benefits.
Right.
But if you want to have that out just in case, but the difference is that you're locking in the prices, so you're going to end up costing yourself more by selling it, because the fact of, okay, I don't want to be blunt, but the fact of you're inevitable going to die is not going to change. So those fees are still going to be due to somebody at some time. So whether you're paying the amount you were originally signed up for and locked into of, let's say, $5,000 versus, let's say you live another 30 years and now it's $10,000, you've sold your $5,000 plan and now you're having to go in it to twice the cost. You know, I'm making up numbers here, but you get the idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So does anybody else have any other questions for Mac, first of all?
I have a
How
quick
are we
question.
able to get those?
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't know how we can get those guides, those 2 guides you talked about.
Yes,
Well,
so I should have mentioned this. Okay, so in the chat box, I put my cell phone number. If you text me your email address, I can email them, or if you want me to snail mail you them, regular mail them, I can regular mail them to you. Or if you would like, we can set up a meeting and I can go over them with you in person. So however you would like me to get those to you, whatever preference you have, if you prefer them emailed, if you prefer them regular mailed, or if you'd like to meet with me, my phone number is in the thing. You let me know via text how you would like me to get it to you, and I will make sure that you get one. And then let me know if you want the veterans guide as well.
The chat box, for anybody who hasn't, if you hover at the bottom, you'll see a little icon that says chat. If you click on that, the little chat box will come up and you'll see Muriel's phone number.
Very good. I'm
Okay,
gonna
so
text her right now.
Jackie, did you have another question?
Yes, I was just wondering if once you lock in on a price, is it subject to change? Will there be price increases on it as far as?
You're locked in.
Okay.
So let's say for numbers sake, you lock in on a $1,000 casket, and that's today's price. And then you have 30 more years before you die. I don't know how old you are, so I hope that I didn't underestimate. So then in 30 years, the price of that very same casket is now $5,000. You're still paying that $1,000 and getting that exact same casket that you selected. So it's the steel, the nice one with the fancy trim. Yeah, you're locked in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I will tell you that my personal, I have a couple of personal things here. First of all, Mac, from a prepaid funeral arrangement I have to say that my dad had that. And when my mom and I were, I think I've mentioned it before with you, or possibly with another Dignity Memorial person. When my mom had and I had to go to the funeral home, it was extraordinarily helpful. I mean, it really was. Everything had been signed, and other than my mom getting just a little bit of weepy when she saw my dad's signature on a few of the documents that we reviewed, it was a really gentle way to go through that process. And Ruth, my only comment that I have around estate planning is the fact that I really do need to get onto it myself, because as things stand now, I will have to alert my sons' wives that my mother gets my children if I die. And I think that maybe they would. She's the executor of the will, and they moved to her, and my kids are now in their 30s, so that might come as a significant surprise to my adult children. So I really do need to update that whole pile of mess.
Yeah.
So I will most likely be seeing Jackie on a personal basis pretty soon, or
Very
you,
good.
to get that all straightened around. So. Muriel, Mac, you had mentioned something about a basket.
Yes, so let's do that too. All right, so since you are a group of caregivers, and I know caregivers oftentimes don't get the chance to take care of themselves because we are so busy taking care of others, that I put together a nice little basket, which I would show you, but you couldn't see because I have a silly virtual background. That is a nice little goodie basket. And if you want to enter for this basket, and I will bring it to you or send it to you with your pre-planning guide, please text me that how you want your guide, and then that will be your entry. So we'll count your text to me of how you want your guide as your entry in to be the raffle. And for those of you who are watching this in the future, if you would like to text me your email address, and I will count that for an entry to win a future basket.
Fabulous, fabulous. I just want to circle back around one more time to Kathy and Jackie and Karen to see whether or not there were any other questions that people had thought of for Ruth or for Jackie. And I think, and I do,
Yes.
you know, I think that we have in the last calendar, Outlook calendar, I think we probably have everybody's email address. I will be sure to send along updates to everybody. Again, if you guys would like, I can send those. I can send the three of you ladies the email addresses for Ruth Law, Rhodes Law, and for Dignity Memorial email addresses, and I can do that under separate cover. And I want to remind the three of you ladies, and also Jackie and Ruth and Mac, if you'd like to join us next week's unit is going to be on taking care of ourselves and keeping the well full. And I think that's going to be a really good one. It's going to speak to self-care and networking and differences in support groups, which, to tell you the truth, when I first got into this, I didn't know there were differences to support groups. I thought a support group was a support group, but there are specific differences to support groups to make for people, depending on what kind of things you find that you might want to focus on. There's different types of support groups. And networking and fitness and self-care and all of those things. That's next week on Tuesday at 2:00. And I thank everybody. Mac, if you can move the host over to me before we get off. So if you just hover over my Aging Matters in Brevard and the more, and then host it and move over the host to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you.
Any other questions
too.
that anybody has? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
I would
too.
like to ask a question to Ruth about if so the power of attorney ends at death. Is there something that takes the place of that after?
Yes. So it's usually going to be your personal representative who would take over your affairs after you pass. So you are correct. Power of attorney does pass away with the person.
Yep, just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. Little secret. Although, yeah, a lot of people don't know that secret.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Beth, if you wouldn't mind emailing me and Jackie your Zoom information for next week's meeting.
I can absolutely do that. I will absolutely add you guys to the Outlook. It'll be an Outlook invitation. And you too, Mac? Yeah, and you guys are welcome to join. They've been a lot of fun. They really have been. I think they've been great. So I thank everybody very much. And, I think considering we started around 2:15, give or take, I don't think it's too bad. We went a little bit over, and I appreciate everybody sticking around for a little longer of a time. And I hope that everybody gets out and enjoys at least where I am sitting in Sebastian, I've got some beautiful blue skies, and I think I've got a walk in my not too distant future. I think I'm going to get outside. So
Wonderful.
Good.
I thank everybody, and you all have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good
you.
rest of
Thank
your
you.
week.
Bye-bye.